Hey everybody, Rob Booker here. This is Trading by Faith. Yesterday we talked about knowing for ourselves and the importance of not necessarily depending on what other people think or what other people think they know. And in verse 13 and 14 of Matthew chapter 16, Christ comes to the apostles and he says, "Hey, who does everybody say that I am?" And they say, "Well, some of the people out there think you're John the Baptist, and some of them think you're Jeremiah." So I'm like, how could they think that? But once again, we said yesterday, they didn't have the internet back then. And the more important question was, who do you say that I am? And he said this to his apostles because he knew they were going to be on the front lines of all of the trials and all of the tribulations, and they were going to be responsible for spreading the message when he was gone. And he knew this. And so he asks his apostles, "But whom say ye that I am?" And these are the men that put down their nets and followed him straightway. Just, hey, there's Christ. I'm following that man. They knew that. They knew that. So the first one to answer, and no surprise, is Simon Peter. And he says, "Thou art Christ, the Son of the living God." He knew it, and he didn't hesitate. It didn't matter if every single person in Caesarea Philippi, in Jerusalem, in Haifa, in wherever. It didn't matter if anyone said anything. It didn't matter what anybody else said. And if popular opinion was that he was John the Baptist, which is, once again, ridiculous. It didn't matter. Simon could have been told by 100 people. Simon could have been shown an official document signed by the governor of all the land, signed by Pontius Pilate, or signed by whoever was running the show at the time for the Romans. And it wouldn't have mattered. It could have been a signed document with the testimony of 100 witnesses. And that's exactly what was going to happen later. It's exactly what was going to occur was after Christ was gone, there would be speculation and myth and rumor and untruth spread throughout everywhere. And it was already spreading. And he did not hesitate to say what he knew. And here's the key. "And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven." Now, why is this important? Because yesterday we established that you've got to know for yourself, right? You've got to know for yourself. And in the times of challenges and trials and tribulations, you've got to know your foundational principles for yourself. You can't just lean on other people's beliefs forever. And I think when we're children, or we're new, or we're brand new to faith, or brand new to whatever we're learning, we're going to lean on other people at those moments. And then we've got to know it for ourselves. But then we've got to realize the source of truth and where truth comes from. I mean, it's one thing to say, for example, as it concerns money or investing or trading. It's one thing to say that money isn't the most important thing. It's one thing to say that. And then it's another thing to know that because you know it for yourself. But then it's a whole other thing to know that that truth comes from God. That, Matthew chapter 5, it's my favorite verse, and I got to start it off because, I'm here. And "Take no thought for the morrow shall take thought for itself. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you." Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. It's one thing to know, okay, well, that's true. I read it, and someone taught it to me, and I believed it. And then I believed it for myself. But then it's another whole thing entirely to know that the source of that knowledge is God. That you know it for yourself, and you were given that knowledge from above. That's a whole other thing. Because in the moment where you start to have some success with trading or investing or with business, and then you start to have a little bit of money, it's it's really easy to forget that those things are true. It's really easy to not just forget that those things are true, but forget the source of that knowledge. I'm just going to read it again. "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." It's really easy, and I've seen tons of my friends do this. Good people. Tons of my friends that had a little bit of success and then said, "Oh, good, I got this now. I'm good. I no longer believe," because they got comfortable. And in the moments of trial when they really needed God's help, they were, super believers. But in the moments when they got a little comfortable, they forgot where it came from, and they forgot what to seek first, and they forgot how quickly it can go away. And so there's 3 stages. One is leaning on others for truth. Second stage is knowing it for yourself because you've had some kind of physical, material experience that that's true. Like when you put money first and then you realize that that's not the source of happiness because it didn't make you happy. And then the third level of knowledge is knowing where it came from. That it came from, knowing that it's true for yourself and knowing that God gave you that truth. And the reason that's important is because there are trials related to when things are going badly. And I think sometimes it's easy to believe in those moments. It's convenient because you're like, I need help. But then there's these other times where you don't need help. And I think those are the real moments of trial, the trial of belief, when you're challenged to continue believing even though life is easy, even though you have some increase in your status or money or whatever. Remember at the end of Malachi, right? Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, right? Right at the end of Malachi. Where is it? Bring all the bring all ye the tithes into the Malachi chapter 4 verse 10. Chapter 3 verse 10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour out blessings, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. It's easy to want that when things aren't going well. But it's hard to remember that when things are going well. It's almost like when we have more, it's hard to share it. And it's hard to pay that tithe. But it's more important than ever. I don't know. Now I'm just blabbering. But man, this comes from my heart. And I know it's true. I'm just so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you're watching. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm Rob Booker, and this is Trading by Faith.